Hi, I'm Kim Montagnese. Today I'd like to share with you a few of my passions. My first passion is my job. I love my job. I get to travel all over the place. My second passion is also travel. I travel personally with my husband. We've had some awesome vacations. And while I'm traveling, my next passion is collecting stuff. So recently, I've been collecting really beautiful lace that I can't find locally. I've collected glass buttons and all kinds of fun embellishments. Also, I've been collecting neckties. So today, I'd like to share with you a couple of projects that have come out of some of those collecting episodes that I've had. So as you can see here, I have a whole bunch of neckties. And I also have behind me some garments that I've grown out of or I've just gotten tired of and I just really don't want to wear them anymore. So I'm going to show you a couple of options that you can use to upcycle some of your outfits or your garments that you just really don't wear a whole lot anymore. So first I'd like to share with you my ties. These are so much fun. So I have a collection of Christmas ties. There are a few of the theme ties, as you can see, and I've kind of supplemented with other ties that are more generic that I've picked up at the secondhand store that people have given me. These are the cheaper ties, and of course, these are the more special ones. These are a couple of my travel ties. As you see here, this one I got at the museum artifact store at an airport, and this says Chicago on it. Then I have a couple of generic ties that I bought at the secondhand store. This one right here is all about Pearl Harbor and World War II. And to be honest, I don't remember exactly where that came from, but I thought it was a very cool tie and it's going to look great in a project someday. And this tie is another museum artifact tie, and this has French vocabulary words on it. So I thought this was really cool, and I also kind of like the colors. So when you're looking for ties, whether it's at the secondhand store or whether it's at the museum store, make sure that you check the label and you make sure that your ties are made of pure silk. This is going to give you that nice fluid look to it. And that's going to be on the back of your tie. It's going to say pure silk on it. If it doesn't say pure silk, put it down and walk away. So the first thing we want to do is open up the tie. So on the back, there's usually going to be a little stitch right there. All ties are different, so you might have to look for that. Some have more stitching, some have less. But you're going to want to clip that stitch, and you're going to want to take off these two corners of the back label if there is one on it. So this one is already done. As you can see, I've clipped those two corners. I've opened up the tie. Most of the time, there's one little string that you can start pulling on, and just pull that out of there, and the whole tie will open up. You can do this all the way down the tie. Now there's interfacing on the inside, so you're going to want to just pull that out. Sometimes you have to cut it out, but you want to get rid of all of this interfacing. And what you want left is this little hem right here and the rest of the silk tie. After you get all of your ties opened up, you want to give them a nice good pressing so they're nice and flat. And then we want to stitch them together. So here's some that I've already stitched. We're going to place the next one against that. Here's one that's already ready to go. We're going to lay this down, right sides together. And right here where the two linings meet, we're going to start stitching right there. I'm going to start sewing. And how long you sew is going to be dependent on how long you want your little skirt piece to be. I'm going to cut my threads. I'm going to raise my foot. So here we have the beginnings of our little embellishments. What I've done is also press it on the back, and I usually press all of mine in the same direction. It's on the bias quite a bit, so this kind of helps give it a little bit more stability. So I have it at this point. Now I'm going to measure my garment, and if I'm making a skirt, or if I'm making a vest, or if I'm making whatever it is I'm making, I want to make sure that I measure the length that I need. So I'm going to be measuring from the end of the point up to the top of where I want my little ruffle edge to end. So I'll be cutting it right here. Getting rid of all this, I'll save this for another project, and I'll just save this part. The next step is to get these gathered. So this is what it looks like after it's been trimmed and cut. And I need to gather this now. So what I've done is the old-fashioned method. This was just easy for me at the moment. I took this to my serger, and I serged a piece of twine right underneath that serging. And then I start to gather that. Also, another cool thing, as you see, I've saved all of my little tags. Where's that tag? There it is. I've saved all the little tags from the back of the ties. I just kind of save them in a little bowl, a little cup or something at my sewing area. And when I'm finished, I have those as further embellishments. So this was actually part of this tie right here. I cut half of it off to open the tie up. And after I stitched these together, I just flipped it over and stitched it down on the other side. You see some of these also have the little tags hanging down off of the edge of the tie. That's kind of fun too. So you can save every little bit of the ties. Okay, so here we are, completely trimmed and pressed, and now we're ready to go. So after it's gathered, this piece right here would be something like on a vest or the front of a jacket, because it's open here. If you're going to do a skirt or something that's circular, like the edges of the sleeve, of course you're going to want to close this and make a nice seam here. Because this is going to be open on the edge, I've just hemmed it on either end. So today I wanted to share with you, this is just an old vest I had. It's not really very pretty. It's just kind of ordinary looking. And this is very much how this one showed up back here. Here's our little skirt to it. Here's all the little tags. And this was just a plain black vest that I used to wear with pants and boots. So it started out looking sort of like this. Then I made the little skirt. And this is going to look kind of a little bit sloppy to you probably at first. But I just placed this along the very edge. I used a zigzag stitch and went all the way around it with a big zigzag stitch. And then to cover up the stitching, I saved all these little tabs, and I stitched these on with a top stitch after it was finished. Stitch those all along there. I can use them on the pockets. I can put them right up the front if I wanted to. All the way up the front. I can put them on the collar. I can put them around the collar, very much like this one has it around the collar. I don't know if you can see that on there. But anyway, then you get yourself some really fun buttons and you just embellish your vest as much as you want with all these ties. Another project I thought that was kind of fun, I had this old leather skirt that I really, obviously, this hasn't fit me for quite some time. So I just decided to cut it off. I made myself a nice little skirt. As you can see, here's the gathering. Here's the ugly stitching that's, kind of covering that up. And this is how it's looking on the opposite side. This is where I've started adding this beautiful lace that I collected in my travels. I think I got this in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And I just loved it. I had no idea what I was going to do with it when I purchased it. But when I saw this, it was just the perfect project. Okay, this jacket also has beautiful lace that I collected. This is some Du Peony Prairie Points. I painted the little old ugly buttons that were on there. And this was actually a recycled jacket. Here's the original sleeve. And I put this little necktie sleeve over it to give it a little bit of character. On the back side, there's some really interesting embroidery out of my embroidery machine to kind of, fancy it up a little bit. And on this one, as we talked about, there's the labels here, my funky buttons here, little tags all the way around. So you can pretty much use anything you like. Just start getting out that stuff that you've collected in your travels and get your old recycled clothes out there, go to the secondhand store and see what you can find. So I hope you enjoyed this project and happy travels.